Hi, this is Scott with Android Guys. I'm here with Luke.
Hey, everybody.
Luke, it's time to talk about another MVNO.
Okay.
This is one we've talked about before. We've kind of profiled
Mm-hmm.
in the past in terms of who they are, what they offer.
Sure.
And we've done that as part of an ongoing series of kind of educating people on who some of these mobile virtual network operators, prepaid carriers, you've probably seen them in ads or maybe in a store. You've looked over and seen a brand or a carrier that you're not familiar with and maybe had some questions. So
Sure.
we've done a whole series, and the posts and the content is usually around the topic of 7 things you need to know about.
Right.
And today we're going to talk about Consumer Cellular.
Uh-huh.
But this time we're going to talk about Consumer Cellular's phone selection.
Right.
One of the things when we get to know these carriers, the question comes down to, can you buy a phone from them?
Yeah.
And that's not the case for all of them.
Sure.
And this is one of those cases where you can purchase phones from the carrier.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have done is we've looked at their selection. We've done some kind of vetting and curating and kind of boiling things down a little bit to help you, the listener, get an understanding as to what some of the best phones are there.
Right.
Now, these aren't the top of the line phones. These are the best phones for specific user types.
Sure.
And among the user types we'll look at is the entry level, my first phone, I don't have any real heavy needs. Then there's also the person who says, I want the best that I can get my hands on. And then there's the person who's somewhere in the middle that says, hey, what's the best all around value?
Right.
I'm willing to spend a little bit of money if it's worth is the juice worth the squeeze?
Sure.
So we'll look at that. And then also in this particular carrier, they also have a pretty decent selection. So we'll also pick out one for somebody who might be looking for a little bit of added productivity.
Sure.
Something that they can maybe do a little bit more with their phone.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a pick for that as well here. So let's jump into it. Luke, at the entry level, this is a person who doesn't really have a need.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe this is their first phone.
Okay.
And they don't even know what they're going to do with it.
Sure.
And then there's the person who says, I've had a phone for a few years and all I really do is, stay in touch with people through text messaging, WhatsApp, Facebook, a little bit of social media and some email, but I don't really use my phone all that much.
Sure.
So I don't need to spend a bunch of money. What would you recommend to them if they were to say, hey, I'm going to buy my phone through Consumer Cellular?
Sure. So for the entry-level user, the phone that we recommend is the Samsung Galaxy A03s. It's an Android phone with a 6.5-inch HD display, and it's got kind of everything you would expect from a modern smartphone. It's got Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, voice recognition. It's running Android 11, so it's not the most current version of Android, but it's definitely a passable version. It has a fingerprint reader on the side, a 5,000 milliamp battery that's going to get you, all day use on your phone. Got multiple cameras, including a front-facing selfie camera. And it's got 32 gigs of storage that can be expanded up to 1 terabyte with a micro SD card.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really not much else about this phone. It's just, like I said, covers all the bases for what you want in a smartphone. And that one comes in at $159 from Consumer Cellular. So really easy to get into.
Yeah.
Not a lot of money, and you're going to get a really decent phone for that price.
Yes. And again, this is a 4G phone where sometimes you'll get into, hey, I see there's 5G. I know that they offer 5G service.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the differences. Now, this type of user may not even know that or
Sure.
care about that. And then again, even like with that battery, with what they're doing or probably going to do with their phone, that size, that capacity battery, and that type of processor, you're probably looking at, I would say, 2 days,
Sure.
of life out of that. So
Right.
That's a solid pick for the, entry level Samsung Galaxy A03s.
Right.
Let's move up a little bit.
Okay.
let's figure out what would you say is the best mid-range or all-around value?
Okay.
This is somebody saying, okay, I need a little bit more phone than that,
Right.
but I don't need to go crazy.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something that's somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
What is our pick for the best kind of all-around or best mid-range phone?
Right. So this one is actually a really cool phone in this price range. It comes in at $449.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Samsung Galaxy A53 5G. So this phone, it's a 6.5-inch high super ultra HD display, 120 hertz refresh rate. So very smooth graphics as far as like changing menus or scrolling and reading text. It's gonna be real easy on the eyes. This one has multiple cameras, 4 cameras on the back and 1 on the front. It will do 4K video. It's got 120 gigs internal storage, and you can expand that up to a terabyte with a micro SD card. Again, has the 5,000 milliamp battery, so you're not going to get quite the battery life you would on the A03s because this one has a better processor and it does more, but it's still plenty of battery.
Yeah.
But this one also has fast charge, so you're going to be able to get that battery life back in less time than you would for most phones. This is also running Android 12, so the most current version of Android, and it is 5G compatible. So it's going to be fast data speeds. You're going to be watching YouTube or watching whatever streaming video you want or listening to music with really kind of no lag, no downtime.
Yeah.
This is a great phone in the mid-range class, and this is a phone that we don't see at a lot of MVNOs.
Right.
And it's great. It's really great for a mid-level user. If you want a lot of features but you don't really want to break the bank, this is a perfect option.
And one other thing to kind of throw in there with this particular Samsung model, they now, for select phones, including this one, will back this with 4 years of operating system upgrades.
Yeah.
And 5 years of security updates.
Right.
So they're willing to stick their neck out there and support this thing longer than most phone makers.
Sure.
So if you're considering the phone and you're like, yeah, but what about vulnerabilities or malware and things like that? Samsung, they're going to stand behind it.
Right.
And they are one of the more proactive phone makers out there willing to do that. So, this is, you're looking at a couple of years of software updates. You'll probably get rid of the phone before they're done supporting it.
Yeah. Yep.
If we're being honest here.
Yeah.
So, the Samsung Galaxy A53 5G is our pick for the best kind of all around or best mid range.
And
let's keep going further. The high end, the flagship.
Yeah.
Let's get to where somebody says, okay, what's the best of what is available through Consumer Cellular?
Right.
What is, I've seen different commercials for different phone makers. I know it comes down to which brands manufacturers are offered there.
Right.
But our pick here, I know, is one that we've kind of, if you've been listening to these, this is no surprise.
You probably can guess what we're going to say. It's the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra 5G. This is the best Samsung phone out there right now. And it, for good reason, has everything. It has all of the features of the A53. It has, 4 cameras with a front-facing camera, but adding on to that, you get options for night mode, portrait mode, director view, single take, a lot of more camera features. The camera also does 8K video with in-camera stabilization, which is, a really cool thing for a mobile device to have. This is a 6.8-inch screen, so it's a nice big screen. 128 gigs of internal storage. It's 5G capable, runs Android 12, has the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, so really fast unlock, facial recognition, so you can do face unlock too. This still has the 5,000 milliamp battery.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to get, even less juice out of that squeeze because the phone does so much more. But this also has super fast charging.
Yeah.
So it's going to charge even faster than the A53.
Yep.
This,
and wireless.
And wireless charging also. And it also has a stylus.
Yeah.
So, if you're doing any kind of mobile productivity, this will do, marking up photos or circling notes, taking notes, kind of whatever you want to do on your phone. It's going to be able to do that. This will do anything that you want your phone to do for the most part. And
it's truly one of the best phones on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just exclusive to Consumer Cellular. It's, buying it outright. If you're comparing flagship phones, Samsung is always going to be in that conversation if you go with their flagship.
Right.
So this year it happens to be the S22,
mm-hmm.
and that's available in 3 different versions.
Right.
But the Ultra is kind of the top of the line.
Right.
So yeah, and the price on that one, I think it's $1,199, $1,200.
Yep.
So it's right in line with if you were to purchase it through any other carrier.
Yeah, even right out from Samsung.
Yep. So that's what we have for the flagship experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's stay with the idea of productivity.
Yeah.
You brought that up, and we kind of mentioned at the top here. If somebody says, I do like the idea of being able to kind of mark up some documents or sketch out a few things. I like handwriting, just to kind of jot down my notes.
Right.
I want to save things as, in a to-do list or something, some of my own ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that stylus. Are there any other options for that?
Yeah, there are. And this one comes in at a fraction of the price. So this one is the Motorola Moto G Stylus. You still get that 6.8-inch display with pretty high resolution. It doesn't have the high refresh rate that the Ultra has. This also has multiple cameras on the back and a front-facing camera, 128 gigs of internal storage. This will support up to another 512 gigs with a micro SD card. It's going to run Android 11, so it's a little dated on the operating system, but again, it's not a bad version of Android. It's running 4G, so you're not going to have the 5G data, but you're also getting, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. This one has a 4,000 milliamp battery, so it's not as big as these other Samsungs that we've talked about, but that processor is not doing as much heavy lifting as like the flagship phone. So that's going to have no problem lasting you all day on that one. And this one comes in at $249.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not quite an entry level device, but it's in that price range.
Right. It's almost a fifth of what the flagship device comes in at.
So if that's something that you're kind of, you like the big screen and the ability to kind of write things down, jot them down, that's a really good option to consider. That's the Moto G Stylus.
Yep.
So those are 4 that we've picked out for the best phones at Consumer Cellular as of summer 2022. If you have any questions or feedback, or if you think we got a pick wrong, or if you would recommend something else, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Other than that, we appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast.
Thanks for listening.
We appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, feedback, concerns, comments, anything, shoot us an email at podcast@AndroidGuys.com. We'd love to hear from you one way or the other. Luke, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
I am on Instagram and Twitter at Luke Gaul, Gaul.
And I'm on Instagram at Scott Webster and Twitter as SWebster77. Until next time, thanks for listening.
See ya.